Del Boy Army, welcome to another video on the channel. In this video today, we are going to be talking about one of the most hyped features I think I have ever seen on a FIFA game or FC game. Evolutions. So popular, it's literally on these websites, got its own tab. Evolutions was promised by EA to completely just revolutionize the way we build our squads, open up so many more options for team building. And I'm in this video going to be discussing evolutions in general and discussing, are they worth it? Has it lived up to the hype so far? So we're nearly at the end of the first season. I can't remember what they called it. I think it was like Welcome to FC or something like that. In 7 days, we will get a new set of objectives. Hopefully, some pretty good ones. I think the first season was fairly decent, to be fair to it, yeah. But the evolutions, well, the jury is out. I see quite a mixed bag of opinions, but I do think it has been leaning more towards the negative. So we'll just show the expired on this website. I like that feature. So the first big one we had really was Relentless Winger. Where was that? I honestly think that Fatty was probably the best evolution we've had in terms of out of every evolution so far and what you could do with the cards. He was probably the most meta one you could actually get. I love with evolutions that you can get play styles added to players. That is really cool. I want to see EA do a lot more with play styles throughout the year. Hopefully they add a lot more to cards. That is one way that they can really make cards feel different and unique and keep upping the power curve as the game goes on. Are you sick to death of getting out teamed on FC24? Want that God squad you've always been dreaming of? Check out IGGM.com today. The best and most reliable place to get coins for your ultimate team. Use the link in the description and code ZEL at checkout for a 5% discount. Check out IGGM.com today. There's one side of this game that I don't, or evolutions that I don't want to ignore, and it's that it's allowing cards from clubs that were never going to be remotely meta or usable to actually be a lot more usable. I do like that, and I understand that. There's different perspectives that you can look at this from. The perspective I tend to look at things from is, would I want to actually use these cards online? And you have to think, the way this game makes gameplay, other than squad battles, every mode is pretty competitive. Friendlies are basically against people from your division. I have to play against elite division players every single game in friendlies. Rivals obviously should be against people at your level. Champs, you really don't want to use anything but the best team you can in that, because that's the best chance you have at getting the best possible rewards to give you the best chance of making more coins to be able to afford a better team. So there's not really any modes online where you can take your evolutions cards and actually get to test them out or try play with them. The game kind of forces and pushes you into a means of really wanting to use meta cards constantly. So if we look at just some of these, we'll look at the current ones at the moment. This Trailblazer Interceptor, when you look at it, +8 overall, that's quite a big jump. Intercept, that is a really good playstyle for a CDM. And then +5 pace, +4 passing, +7 physicality, and then a bunch of other stats. The big problem I'm having though with these evolutions is these restrictions. There's occasionally one or two players that maybe slightly slip through the net of the restrictions and look like a bit of a beast card. But I honestly think EA, probably the team who are behind these evolutions, are really closely looking at the restrictions they put on the scene, if it does allow any ridiculous cards that they wouldn't want to be part of this. Ultimately, do EA want you buying an evolution for 1,500 FIFA points or FC points, or do they want you spending 2,000 points on a jumbo rare player pack? They probably want both. But ultimately, are they going to make evolutions, like the top meta cards on this game cost probably a few £100 worth of FC points? Are they going to give us top meta cards in the first few months, even half the year of the game, that are going to be remotely comparable to they're not going to release an evolution that costs 50,000 FIFA points. That's the equivalent of a few £100. They're just not going to do that. It just looks ridiculous. But to get the meta cards on this game without ridiculous pack luck, you generally need to spend a few £100 worth of FC points. So, that is one of the problems with these cards, that they cost, and sure, you can make an argument with these cards that they're cool because they allow you to make players who weren't used before decent. But when I look through them, we'll look at the eligible players. There really isn't anyone who, even when they're fully evolved, really stand out. Like, when I look at them, Dominguez was one of the most popular ones. He's got him a card at Notts Forest. If we look at his evolution, this was one of the ones that people really hyped. This is if he got a +9 because someone used the welcome to evolution on it. Obviously, you can take +1 off all of these. But if we look, that is a pretty good card. Argentina's pretty good too. You can have him at Notts Forest in the Prem. Well, let's compare him to, say, Tonali. Tonali and Goretzka, two pretty similar type of build CDMs. So they're a lot cheaper. The total in-game stats on these two are already over 100 more. Tonali's quicker. Goretzka a bit slower. These two have a miles better shot. I do have to say, Dominguez has a 5-star weak foot. They're 4-star, that's decent. Dominguez does have better play styles than the other two. I will say that as well, but not by a lot. Passing, these two are a lot better. Dribbling, he's quite a bit better. He has ridiculously bad composure though, which is an issue. Defending, fairly similar. Physical, I would rather have Tonali and Goretzka's. So, I would say overall, these two are probably better. Goretzka, much better chem links and miles cheaper. Tonali, pretty good chem links. Probably better, I would say, being Newcastle, but Argentina is a better nation. And these two are tradable. To go spend either money or coins to go do an SBC like this, you have to think he's going to have to be very, very good. Because this Dominguez is, on paper, I think, probably the best evolution for the Trailblazer Interceptor. And he's quite a bit worse than other cards that are cheaper than him. So I'm just looking at, like, if that's the best, they need to do something surely to really bring these evolutions to make them more meta or good value. If this evolution was like 20k in terms of 20,000 coins, I could accept that a lot more. But when they're quite expensive and they're so much more, they're so much worse in general. Like Dominguez, if he's the best, like that Gallagher's one that a lot of people like, he's much worse than Goretzka or Tonali. When the best cards that you can even use these evolutions on are so much worse in general than the actual meta cards that are quite a bit cheaper, there's a major issue. So clearly there's something wrong with the curve of the evolutions. I don't want evolutions to be out now like in the mid-90s and the best players in the game. Sure, I get that. I don't want that. And but we're only a month into the game. Sure, in like 6 months' time, some of these evolutions might be able to come really good. But that's the game cycle's mostly done at that point. If I look at some of these, the Founder's Evolution was pretty decent for the first week or something, maybe. I quite liked that. But a lot of these, when I just look at them, it's like, Malasha, he's decent. But most of these cards, they're just not anything special. They're not as good as cards that are way cheaper. And you could say, people might say, oh, well, you're on about the paid ones, Zal. The free ones, of course, they're worth it. They're free. But the thing is, you have to spend, time is money, they say. You have to go spend your time grinding these up to make them upgraded. And then they're still probably going to be worse than what they can use. The best thing I can see about evolutions is people having fun using cards from teams and building teams and upgrading the player. But they're so restrictive right now, evolutions. And quite a lot worse in general than the meta cards that are cheaper than them. I just don't see it as much of a feature right now. If you want to compete or play online at all, you're massively handicapping yourself using these players, which is an issue to me. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate your thoughts as always. Keep it spicy. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.